Aaron, why haven't you reviewed Shazam yet? Is it because you hate the DC Cinematic Universe? Is it because you can't deal with them finally having a good movie out? No, it's because we reviewed it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so ha ha ha.
Take that, future internet comment. And for the record, I don't hate the DC Cinematic Universe. I only hate 3 very select films of the DC Cinematic Universe. Oh, but yes, hey everyone. So yeah, we already did a review of Shazam when the critic screens came out 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
But typically on the post Geekout reaction, we also do a spoiler talk. But I didn't want to do a spoiler talk 2 weeks before the movie came out because that just seemed kind of, dickish. So we decided to come back and do it now.
Yes.
I figured
now that the movie's now out officially around the world.
It is Sunday.
Well, I don't know about the world, but
it's
yeah, you know what we mean.
It's I think worldwide. I think I saw that it made like 60 million this opening weekend in America and like another 40 million around the world. I think I might be pulling that number out of my butt, but I think that's what it was. So yeah, it's open in several countries. Point is, yes, it's Sunday. I think that most of the people out there who are going to see Shazam has now seen Shazam, so we can do our little spoiler talk in here now. But before we get into that, I just want to say, when we were doing the review 2 weeks ago, I was going back and forth in my mind like, oh, it's really good, but I have a couple little nitpicks in there, so 8.5 or a 9, like 9 seems kind of high for a movie that I have some nitpicks with, but it just doesn't feel right to say an 8.5, so I'll give it a 9 out of 10. And now that a couple weeks have gone by, I'm like, oh yeah, 9 out of 10. Absolutely. I think you gave it an 8.5.
Something like that.
You gave it an 8 or an 8.5.
Yeah.
Has your opinion not changed any since then?
It's hard to say because, like, I didn't go back and rewatch it, so I
haven't gone back and rewatched it.
Yeah,
I
know.
Just thinking about it over and over in my head.
No, it's like, we were busy with everything else that I didn't really have time to think about Shazam, honestly.
We've had a lot going on in the last 2 weeks.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, there's a reason we didn't review Dumbo last week. So yeah, we have been kind of busy. But yeah, the more I think about this, yeah, the nitpicks are still there. I didn't forget any of the nitpicks, which are good because I kind of need to remember them for this. But the positives are so big in my mind. And how fun this thing was, and how funny it was, and how charming it was, and how likable everyone was in it. Yeah, all that stuff has just remained firmly in my mind. So yeah, I easily give this a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
But also, I've come to appreciate it on like a different level now because I mentioned in our original review, so many people kept saying, this feels like another Sam Raimi superhero movie. This feels like a movie made by Sam Raimi. And I'm a huge Sam Raimi film, and I went into this thing and I went, no, it doesn't. Not that that's a bad thing, but, it's like comparing apples and oranges. Like, just because this thing has got superheroes and it's fun and there's some slapsticky humor in here every now and again, that doesn't mean it's necessarily Sam Raimi. But it did keep reminding me of something, and I couldn't remember. And the director of this put out an interview in which he said, like, 3 of his favorite movies when he was growing up was Goonies, Gremlins, and another 80s film that started with a G, oddly enough. And I kept looking at it and going, that's what this is. Not necessarily Gremlins or Goonies, but this feels like if we had the technology that we have today back in the 80s when they were making movies, like Gremlins and Goonies. This feels like a lost gem from that era. Like someone just uncovered it and just did a full-on remaster of a superhero film that existed back then. Because it's got that style of charm to it. Yeah, like, the little kids going out there, discovering something amazing, and they have to stop the big, mean adults out there. But the parents are still like, the parents are oblivious to everything that's going on, but they're still really supportive because in the 80s, in a lot of those kids' movies, you think the parents were kind of, bad, but in all honesty, when you go back and watch it, it's like, no, they weren't. They were just kind of stupid. Because back in the 80s, a lot of those films were trying to aim themselves at the kids, and it's going, don't parents just not understand sometimes? So yeah, a lot of this is like straight up an 80s film. Like, even the fact that the second act of this film is just jokes. It's just jokes, the entire second act of this film. That's what a lot of the 80s films were back then. A lot of the 80s films were, we have a premise, that's established in the first act. Second act is us just goofing off with this premise. Third act is when the movie actually begins. It's like, yeah, that's kind of what this one was. So I do kind of have a brand new appreciation for this thing, because like, wow, that's what they were going for, and they nailed it. So yeah, I just wanted to go ahead before we get into the sports stuff. I just wanted to come in here and just say, yeah, I am firmly like 9 out of 10. This is easily my favorite of the DC Cinematic Universe movies. This might even be in my top 10 favorite superhero movies of all time. I was really pleased with this thing. However, that doesn't mean that I don't have some nitpicks in here. And a lot of my nitpicky things, they are kind of spoilery things in here. Like, the big one for me is, I mentioned it really felt like because they just goofed off kind of in the entire second act, the third act is an entire superhero arc all in one act. And it even has the all is lost moment. And what they do with the all is lost moment in here is really good. It is one of those things that I'm like, I'm amazed they did that in this. I am stunned they got away with this. But I applaud them for it. What I'm talking about is he finally tracks down his mom. That's the thing that he's been trying to do this entire time throughout his entire life. He's able to finally track down his mom, who he got separated from when he was just a little kid. And he goes back to her, and she's like, who the hell are you? Like, she doesn't want anything to do with him. And they do this amazing thing where they take the flashback that they had at the beginning of the film that we saw from Billy's point of view. And they show it, same dialogue and everything, but the delivery of the lines is different so that you now understand. The mom wasn't like being super supportive. The mom was just like, oh, fucking kid, oh God, what do you just get off my back, kid? I'm trying to win you this stupid prize. And then you have the moment where Billy is there with the police. And I remember when we saw that scene originally, I kept thinking to myself, like, why didn't the mom just go to the police? Like, what's going on here? Like, what happened to the mom where she would not go to the police with, I lost my child, because Billy is with the police. If Billy couldn't find the police, then I would have questions about, then yeah, that would make sense. But it just doesn't make sense to me why the mom wouldn't be able to find Billy if he was with the police already. And then we see from her point of view, she saw Billy there with the police, and she just went, you know what, they're going to do a better job with you than I ever could. Like, she purposely abandoned him.
Like, that was, like, kind of a nitpick for me because, like, I see this trope a lot in Hollywood, at least, where, like, an adopted kid, like, they want to find, like, their original birth parents or something, and they'll, like, go out of their way only to find out that their birth parents never really cared for them in the first place.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, and it's like, I see that a lot in Hollywood, and it's like, in this one, it was really obvious, considering, like, the police found him and everything.
I thought it was just a plot hole. Like, a handful of the previous DC films have prepped me to go, all right, I'm prepared for plot holes. I'm just, all right, yep.
I was trying to think, like...
Just drive that truck right through that hole, man. I'm fine. Okay, no, I was actually amazed when they thought this one out.
Like, at first, I thought it was like, maybe she already left the park, but why would she leave the park without the kid? But it's but it's like, that was something that always, like, annoyed me about those kind of tropes.
About that cliche in those films.
Yeah, the cliche and everything.
Where the parent that lost their child doesn't care about them.
Like, especially when the kid already has a family that really cares about them, and, like, they deliberately go out of their way to, like, push that family aside to get to the family that he thinks cares about him just because they gave birth to him and everything. Okay,
I see. You don't like it when films establish stories like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I can understand that.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, but I haven't really seen a lot of films like that. So when he finds her and she just like flat out goes, listen, the truth of the matter is like, I was a teenager when I had you. I was not ready for that. My life was just wrecked because of you. And listen, the cops probably did better. And hey, you seem to be doing fine. I was stunned. I was stunned they put like such a like hard, like real moment in there. Like they did not put any of that like Hollywood magic, like, no, sprinkle it in there. There's actually a very, very good reason for this. Like, nope, life just sucks sometimes, kid. I was just stunned that they did that because the rest of this film is such a like nice film that the entire family can enjoy. And then they put in there like a message that I'm not saying that like it's something that a child can't see that message in film, but it's gonna be jarring to them. It's gonna be shocking to them.
That's just the horrible truth sometimes.
That's the thing. Whenever like a film is able to put like the horrible truth of reality into a kid's film, but not in a way that makes me go, well, you just ruined the entire movie. I'm kind of always impressed. So I was genuinely impressed that they did that. But my nitpick comes in that I kept thinking, in any other superhero film out there, this would have been the like, all hope is lost. I can't do any of this. I'm turning my back on everything. Like, and that goes on for like 20 minutes until they decide to be a hero again. And I know that that's a cliche, and you're like, well, shouldn't you be happy that they didn't do the cliche? Normally, I would applaud a film for avoiding a cliche, except that when you think about what he just went through, it's like, no, you need some time to deal with this, kid. But because they crammed an entire superhero arc into the third act, he gets the phone call and is like, I have your family held hostage. I'm on my way now. And it's like, yeah, okay, I'm glad that he's going back there and everything, and that should be like the moment when he's like, that's my real family. But it's like, after what he just went through, I kind of do feel like we need some time of him just like walking around just like, do. And then like after he, walks the earth and like takes time to really like process all this, then he finds out that that family's in trouble, and then he's like, then that snaps him out of his funk, and he's like, that's my real family there, I gotta go and save them. Like,
I guess so, but it's like, for me, that moment was like kind of like a wake-up call to him. Like, throughout the entire movie, he says, you gotta look up for number one, yourself. And then when he finds his mom, she was like, I didn't want you. The Phillies can do better taking care of you. And like, basically, she was also looking out for herself.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like when he realizes, if you only look out for yourself, you'll only be left with yourself.
I can see that. I still wish that he had taken some more time to kind of like come to terms with what the hell just happened to him, but yeah, I can totally understand that. Let's see. Second little nitpick comes from the villain, which, like I said, I like the villain in this one. I actually really like his motivation in here. I think that was pretty solid. I saw someone out there going, like, that is such a weak motivation. Like, kids are told they're not special all the time. It's like, yeah, by dickish adults. Not from the magical wizard who is about to give him all the powers and dreams he could ever want. And then he goes, you know what? Screw you, kid. You'll never get anything. Yeah, I can understand how that would drive someone insane.
And, like, here's the thing. Like since the spoiler talk is, like, he possesses all the seven deadly sins.
Yeah.
But the one that he keeps inside him in order to maintain his power was envy. And it's like, I didn't really get a sense of envy at the beginning. I felt like more like wrath would be the sin that he keeps inside, because he's just angry that he wasn't good enough, and he's angry that everyone like thinks he's not good enough.
I can get that, but then again, he wants Shazam's powers. He wants the thing that this other guy has. I'm like, that's kind of...
Yeah, but he didn't really find out about Shazam until he like got the powers of the seven deadly sins. Like,
well, he was keeping all of them inside of himself, kind of, until then.
I guess.
And he was just sending them out whenever. But it was there at the end when he was fighting Shazam, they used that. But my problem with the villain is that he has the exact same powers as Shazam. Like, he's got literally the exact same stuff that he has. And there was a moment at the beginning of this in which they tease Black Adam. In which they even do, like, the backstory on Black Adam, and that was cool. They introduced that. Because I remember at one time they were saying they were going to save Black Adam for Superman, for Man of Steel 2. It was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know Superman has other villains aside from Lex Luthor and Zod. It drives me, like, everybody in the superhero community constantly complains about how the Superman villains are always just either Lex Luthor, Zod, and then we got Doomsday, but even that, it was like, well, Doomsday is still the other one that, like, most non-comic book fans know. Why are you afraid to, like, actually delve into his rich collection of other villains out there? And it's like, all right, Man of Steel 2, who are you going to get? A Shazam villain out of nowhere. What is wrong with you on this? So I like that they tease Shazam in this, because it lets me know more firmly. It's like, all right, Shazam, you are going to fight Black Adam in the next one, which is appropriate. But there came a moment in which I stopped and I thought, wait a minute, how is he going to be different? Because Sivana in this literally just had Shazam's powers. So why can he not... What is Black Adam going to do differently? So I kept thinking, I was like, okay, like, the seven deadly sins, they're like evil, which makes you think of like, maybe not lightning, but like hellfire or something that he shoots out, or, give him like 7 different powers that he can access, that each of the 7 deadly sins give him. Something like that.
Like basically like Shazam powers, but evil?
Yeah, like kind of like evil.
But like, what would the evil version of like flying be, or the evil version of super strength be?
Well, you could still give him like super strength and flight, but maybe like he's got like dark tendrils or something that he can come out and like grab someone with, or like he has like the monster arms come out of him like from his back, and he grabs stuff with that. Like he can like bring out the seven deadly sins, like they're parts of himself, kind of stuff. Again, I'm not coming in here and just going, why didn't they make the movie that I want? I'm just saying, yeah, it kind of now taps down like the fight between Black Adam and him when they'll just have the exact same fight. So,
well, they could mix it up.
Don't get me wrong. The like story and everything could more than make up for that. It just kind of feels like they didn't think quite ahead on that one. Let's see. Villains still liked him and everything. We should talk about one of the things that was really good in here was at the end when he gives his brothers and sisters all their Shazam powers. That was something from the very recent incarnations of the comics. And I was very happy to see them do that because it's one of my favorite things from the recent incarnations of the comics. The whole like new Shazam family that he's created here.
What are their super names gonna be?
Yeah, I'm very curious because Shazam always used to be known as Captain Marvel. But because of legal problems, they weren't allowed to officially call him Captain Marvel for a long time. And eventually they just went, all right, screw it, just call him Shazam. But then they came in here recently and realized, wait a minute, that's the name that he says in order to activate his powers. He can't be called that, so now he's currently in the comics. He has, like, no name. He's trying to figure out a name for himself. But I don't know what all the other characters are going to be called, because I don't think they have names yet in the comics either. But Freddy, he used to be called Captain Marvel Jr., and Mary used to be called Mary Marvel. I don't know if they're going to be able to keep those in there either. And, oh, God, I don't know what they're going to do with those guys. But it was really cool that they got to use that in here. And I remember in our review, I said, it did even give me that moment that I need for like a 9 out of 10 movie where I get that like moment in which I feel myself like getting lighter in the theater, like, oh my goodness. And yeah, that was my moment. And we were at the Alamo Draft House where if you make noise, you get kicked out, but people were applauding at that. I was like, good, go for it. I'm glad that everybody was that excited about that.
Yeah, if like you are like, if you're making noise in reaction to the movie, like the reaction you're supposed to have, I think that's a good thing, you know? It's like, I don't think you'll get kicked out for that so much.
Yeah, I saw someone on Twitter recently saying, do Americans actually applaud at movies? And I was like, hell yes we do. Because it's a reaction that you make to show joy. Something that certain movies are supposed to make you feel. Yeah, you shouldn't be ashamed if you clap at the right moment to clap at a movie. It shows that you appreciate what the film is doing. Yeah, I was really happy with that. And I remember, like, the moment of Freddy, like, standing there. Like, Freddy finally got powers. And Freddy, they did a wonderful job of setting that up. Basically, each member of his family, they have one of the different powers that he has. And I love at the beginning of this, Freddy was talking about flight or invisibility. Which one would you choose? Which I gotta say, in the beginning of the movie, before Shazam actually got his powers, I thought Freddy was a tad too much. Like, I thought he was at an 11. They should have brought him down to a 10. But he was talking about flight or invisibility and choosing flight and all this stuff. And at the end, the power that he got was flight.
Also, like, because he couldn't really walk that well, I think it makes sense.
I feel like they were setting that up, too. Yeah, like, that was kind of an appropriate thing they were trying to do with him. Also, I like that. What was his name? Paco, I think his name was?
Yeah.
The big quiet one?
Yeah.
I like that you see, like, he's working out with dumbbells in the beginning, and he got super strength because he's holding up the Ferris wheel there at the end. Yeah, I really dug what they decided to do with that. But let's see. So I enjoyed that, but as far as the members of his family go, the one that I had the most problems with in here was Mary. Not because I think anything that Mary did in here was bad, it's because I don't think Mary did enough in here. You know, it feels like almost everyone else in here had something to do. Freddy, of course, plays a very large role. Darla, she has, like, her own, like, she has a little bit of a connection with them. And I thought that the moment when she was like, I didn't tell his secret, yay! Like, that was adorable. She is so good in this movie. And Paco doesn't really say much, but that's, like, his thing, is that he's just, like, the strong silent type. It's like, okay, well, that's nice. But then you got the hacker one.
Yeah, like the gamer kid.
Which I felt that they tried too hard with that guy. When it opens up, he's like, die, die. I was like, do kids actually do that? Or is that how adults think kids play video games?
Like when they're walking to like school and he was on his phone just like tapping and everything. It's like, that's not how you play that's not how you play phone games.
I've never seen
anyone play like that on a phone game.
I've seen people get into phone games, but they're like, ah! like he just snorted a row of pixie sticks before he decided to start playing. Yeah, I think they were trying a little too hard on that kid. But he still at least did some stuff in there. He still had a decent amount in there. Mary, who has been one of the biggest supporting characters in the Shazam family for generations now, I feel she gets, nothing to do in here. Mm-hmm. They, briefly mentioned in the beginning that she has, the whole thing about college coming up.
Yeah.
Then, towards the end, Shazam has a nice moment where he's, bonding with her over trying to convince her of what to do about college, because she's sad that she'll have to leave her family now. But it didn't hit me until we were doing a review of it. That never got resolved.
No.
She was sad about, I don't know what I have to do with this. Apparently the film didn't either. That doesn't come up. But then at the end of this thing, you've got Darla when they have their powers. Even then, she doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
All you get is one shot of her grabbing one of the monsters with tentacles. Which it's weird that with the one adult of the family down there, they had her fight the tentacle monster. I don't know why, but that did feel weird to me. Maybe I'm just reaching on that one, but it did feel weird. That's why did you have her fight the tentacle monster? That just feels bizarre. But yeah, you've got Darla running back and forth, and she saves Santa Claus, and then you've got the gamer kid who's pulling out a Hadouken, which I love that he did that. Which I especially love that he did that because Warner Brothers also owns NetherRealm Studios. So he could have done, something from Mortal Kombat, but no, if you're shooting blue energy out of your hand, it's a Hadouken. So I'm glad that they decided to do that. You got Paco lifting up, the entire Ferris wheel. You got Freddy flying around. He's, giving the boys what to eat. They're all doing stuff. All you get of Mary, who is one of the biggest characters in the Shazam family for generations, as I said, is just, one shot for just, that was it. What did you, what? Why?
What was her superpower supposed to be?
I don't even know.
Yeah, because, like you said, each and every one of them got one of Shazam's powers. So it's flight, speed, strength, lightning,
I think hers had to have been, wisdom or something.
I guess.
Because when you think about Shazam's powers, it's, oh god, okay, I've got to see if I can do this. Speed, okay. Strength of Hercules, stamina of Atlas, power of Zeus, the courage of Achilles, speed of Mercury. What the hell is the S1? The S1 is who? Oh, wisdom of Solomon. So she's either wisdom of Solomon or stamina or courage.
And it's
one of those that you can't really peg down.
Yeah,
and see.
That's really frustrating because how do you show those kind of things in a fight? So it's.
But it does make you kind of look at that as
yeah, she kind of has the short end of the stick. At least when it came to her big moment.
In this, it really feels like they just completely dropped her. And again, as someone who is a big comic book nut, it's kind of a shame that the one who has been around the longest got the least attention in this movie. So that kind of bummed me out a little bit. But even not speaking as a comic book fan, it is kind of weird that there's just one of them that you couldn't figure out what to do with. Mm-hmm. Even if it was any of them. Hell, even if it was, Paco, who doesn't have, he doesn't talk in this. So if there was one guy who wasn't really going to do much, I guess it'd be the one who doesn't talk much, because at least you'd establish that's a defining trait of his. But again, it's just wow, there's just one in here who you just could not think of something to do with him.
If her power was wisdom, then she should have been the one who figured out.
Came up with a strategy.
Yes.
Have her talk. I don't even think her adult form talked in here. All the other ones talked in here. I remember at the end, during the end credits scene, when you've got the drawings of all of them with their adult selves, which was so fun and so adorable. Then they had her with her, and I just went, does your adult self really deserve to get some screen time on these title sequences? She really did, she probably I'm sure there's a lot in the cut scenes, but it did kind of feel weird that it's got, oh man, there's Darla there with her adult self. That's so touching. And oh, there's the gamer guy. He's with his adult self. And there's that guy with his adult self. And Freddy with his adult self. And then she pops up and is like, really? Were you in? She served an important role. Did she? Did she? Yeah, so that kind of bummed me out a little bit in there too. But as we mentioned, the parents. I love the parents in here. The parents are so great. And there's been a lot of talk recently about what the hell they're going to do with the future of the DC Cinematic Universe, because Ben Affleck is out. Henry Cavill is out. Ezra Miller is now writing the Flash movie, but reportedly he's writing the Flash movie because they were thinking of kicking him out too. So it's like, all right, what exactly are you doing here? And I kept thinking, maybe they should just stop this cinematic universe thing because it didn't really work out for them, and they've been trying to do it for a while. And I mean, what the hell is it? James Gunn's Suicide Squad film is rebooting all that. Like, they've even said the first one is not even going to be mentioned at all, as if it almost didn't happen. And it's going to be a completely different cast in there. And Harley Quinn, we're keeping Margot Robbie around as Harley Quinn, but now she's going to be in the Birds of Prey movie, not in prison anymore, and they said they probably won't even mention anything from that film. I was like, dude, you probably just should not even acknowledge that you have a cinematic universe anymore, and just go back to just making regular superhero films, and then maybe try the cinematic universe thing again. But during the end credits of this, when you've got, like, Shazam hanging out with all the other superheroes in there, and then, like, the one with Freddy, when you're seeing, like, all the other things that he's collected from all the other superheroes out there, this movie is the entire reason why I'm like, maybe the DC Cinematic Universe should stick around. Like, this movie, it didn't acknowledge any of the bullshit from any of the previous films, but it acknowledged, hey, we've got other superheroes out there. Isn't that fun? It's like, you know what? Maybe that's all you really need to do right now.
Yeah, like, maybe just, like, cameos from the other superheroes.
Maybe just cameos. Honestly, you know, don't worry about another Justice League movie right now. Don't worry about having these guys, like, team up again, but you know what, if, like, during the Flash movie, he wants to talk to a Green Lantern, like, maybe him and Hal Jordan are pals or something, well, you would probably have to establish the Hal Jordan movie first, but, you know, like, maybe if, like, down the road, like, during, like, a Green Lantern sequel, after you reboot Green Lantern, like, then you have him and Flash just, like, getting a coffee together, like, that's all you need. Just let us know that these guys, they know each other. It's fun. It's fun, ladies and gentlemen. That's all you need.
Yes.
And at the end of this movie, it had probably one of the best moments of Superman in the entire DC Cinematic Universe without actually even having Superman in there. Man, it was such a cute, charming scene.
Yeah.
But you can't help but, like, acknowledge the fact that it's like, yeah, man, we all know Henry Cavill is out. Because at the end of this, Shazam comes in there to have lunch with Freddy. And I love that scene. That scene is so good. It's so nice and sweet and charming. And he goes, oh, and I brought someone else in here, too. Another friend of mine. And then Superman walks in, and you've even got, like, the Superman theme song playing, and everybody's like, oh, and he's got a lunch tray, and it's so adorable that Superman's here to have lunch with some kids, because they're just a big fan of his, and oh my goodness, that is such a sweet, charming thing for Superman to do, but it doesn't show him from the head up.
Yeah.
And it just makes you can't help but just go, yeah, we all know that Henry Cavill wasn't coming back for this. We all know that he's not here for this anymore. But seeing that did make me go, yeah, but it's okay if we just kind of keep making Superman movies set in a shared universe. I'm okay with this, because moments like this make it worth it. And it's so strange to me that for the longest time, DC kept trying to go, well, we're going to be different from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because the Marvel films, they're goofy, and they're silly, and we're not going to be that. We're going to be like the Dark Knight. We're going to be serious and dark. And this movie is maybe the best thing that they've done. Like, it's, like, it and Wonder Woman are very close with each other, but I personally even think this is better than Wonder Woman, because Wonder Woman, I really do feel like it dropped the ball in the third act. I feel like the third act is pretty lame, in all honesty, in that film. This movie is great all the way through.
It's like, I think, like, you know, it's like, superhero movies are meant to be fun. I mean, like...
Enjoyable.
Enjoyable, yes.
Yes, fun and enjoyable can be kind of different things.
Yes.
But yeah, Michelle, you think that superheroes should be fun? You're living in a dream world. I saw people on Twitter going, everybody's saying that Shazam is what the DC film should be, but you don't understand. Shazam is light and hopeful and fun and goofy because that's what Shazam is. I went, so is Superman, you idiots! You have, like, Shazam was even a ripoff of Superman when he was created.
It's like, honestly, leave the dark brooding to Batman.
Yes! Not everything needs to be fucking Batman, you idiots! And even then, you guys went fucking apeshit with Batman on that thing. I'm sorry, we're talking about this now. We're getting into this shit. That thing about, like, oh, if you think that your heroes don't kill, then you're living in a dream world. Okay, that's kind of a disturbing line when you consider this is a fantasy world that's supposed to be showing, like, us at our best. But it's like, okay, I understand. Like, you watch the takedown scenes in some of those Arkham games. It's like, yeah, he probably broke that guy's neck, and we're all just kind of avoiding it. But he went on in that thing. It was just like, hey, if you think that your heroes aren't stealing from their own companies or committing atrocities or lying to the American people, then you're like, these are the exact things that he said in that. Then you're living in a dream world, and I just went,
whoa.
That took a turn. If you think your heroes aren't stealing from their own company, what? Should we be checking your, what? That was such a weird thing. Like, the killing one started off because that's what people were asking him specifically about. But no one was asking anything about stealing money from a company there,
like,
Zach.
Is that something you did? Did you?
What do you know about what's going on at Warner Brothers, Zach? That's kind of a weird thing. And also, like, the committing atrocities thing is like, that's a very strong word to use. Yeah, that was, holy crap. That's all I'm going to say about that. But all I could think was, he's coming out there and just saying this shit like, if you think your heroes aren't killing, and if you think that they aren't committing atrocities and stealing from companies and embezzling, then you're living in a dream world. Which, by the way, someone telling the hero that their ideals are in a dream world is supervillain 101. Like, that's literally how, like, 90% of Lex Luthor and Superman's conversations end. With Lex going like, oh, you're living in a dream world, Superman. Someone even posted that clip from Superman vs. the Elite, which is actually one of my favorite Superman movies out there, in which Manchester Black literally says to Superman, if you think that you're going to get away with this, you're living in a dream world. And he just goes, good. Dreams lift us up, and they inspire us to be better people. And until we find that day where we can all achieve the dreams that we're looking for, I will never give up on that. I was like, are you... Superman literally has a speech in his pocket to just take out when someone gives him this. God damn it. But it just drove me, it was just like the best perfect timing out there. That you have someone who made these just awful fucking movies coming in here and saying, oh, well, if you think that it doesn't go this way, then you're living in a dream world. And then Shazam comes out and it's one of the best films that they've made. This film is amazing and it doesn't sacrifice squat. This film does not sacrifice anything that makes the comics special. And the point I was trying to make is that DC was like, well, we're not going to be like the Marvel films. We're going to be dark and serious and very realistic. And then you got Shazam coming out here, which isn't any of those things. I mean, it is realistic because you've got the stuff in there of like what happened with his mom. That was like a very heavy moment in there, but it doesn't sacrifice the fun and the heart and the love and the charm that need to be in this film. And what you got here was probably a goofier, funnier, more uplifting superhero film than probably any of the Marvel films. And I'm looking at this going, DC, if you want to know what you're supposed to fucking do to make yourself different from the Marvel films, Marvel is wiping out literally half their entire universe and having like a father kill his daughter by dropping her off a ledge. And you've got so many, like, people think that the Marvel films are not dark because they're silly, but they've got dark shit in there.
The Infinity War was really freaking dark and just...
I have never been in a theater where after a superhero film ended, you could hear a pin drop because everyone's like... and I look at this and I'm like, DC, if you really want to establish yourself as being different, you're the all-ages, family-friendly superhero line. Do that shit over there. You got it. You nailed it on that one, baby. You can do that great. And even like Aquaman, he's hard drinking in that movie. He is like, he's going to the bar and he's also like just a biker guy in there. But that movie was goofy as hell. And it's their highest grossing film of all time, I think. It definitely made more money than, I think, Batman vs. Superman. I remember it past that, but I think it is their highest grossing film of all time. And it's freaking Aquaman. And you made it goofy and weird and under the sea King Arthur fantasy like Flash Gordon shit. This is what you're supposed to be doing. Anywho, I had to get that off my chest.
Like, honestly, it feels like it makes more sense for DC to be more goofy because, like, it belongs to Warner Brothers. And when I think Warner Brothers, I think Looney Tunes and everything like
Marvel
that.
belongs to Disney.
Oh. But, like, Disney is different from Looney Tunes.
Oh, you're thinking, okay.
As far as, like, cartoons and, like, movies and stuff. And
you're thinking specifically of, like, goofy, like, okay, I see what you're
like, you know what I mean.
I know what you mean, yeah, okay, I gotcha. Yeah, like, think about it like that, like, create the superhero films that could, like, have a Bugs Bunny cameo in there. And it, like, oh, God, it works. And I keep thinking about how they're now saying that they're going to go a darker direction with Flash. Warner Brothers, I never thought I would say this again. Step in and stop your creators right now. Before I get pointed at Warner Bros. Like, you guys are tampering too much with some of your stuff because you're coming in and dictating, like, what exactly it has to be and changing all your creators around. And, you know, maybe you should just get good people in there and just step back. And now you've got Ezra Miller saying he's going to make a darker version of Flash. And it's like, Warner Brothers, step in, point over at Shazam, and stop this man right now before he screws over your second most upbeat, goofy character out there. Oh, my God. Okay. Speaking of, like, upbeat comedic stuff in here that I am shocked they are doing in here. We have the mid-credit like teaser for what's coming up in the next film. And you got Dr. Savannah in there and he's writing on the walls, which again, you want to talk about how people think that when I say like, oh, it should be like, you know, more fun and uplifting and goofier and sillier, they think that means don't ever have anything like dark or serious in there.
No.
The ending of this when Dr. Savannah is just like scratching everything on the walls, that's a good shot. And it establishes how dark he is. That lets us know what is coming. But at the end of this, Mr. Mind pops up. Mr. Goddamn Mind. And they established him early on, and I thought he was just going to be an Easter egg. He's there in the jar. When he was a kid and he went there, he was there in the jar. And then when Billy goes there, the jar's broken. I was like, oh, that's pretty good. But there's no way you're going to bring him back because that would be freaking insane to like have Mr. Mind in here. And I know DC's not going to do that. At the end of this, Mr. Mind pops up. And I was going to be like, okay, but it's going to be like a different version of Mr. Mind. Like it's going to be like some like big creepy like xenomorph kind of monster. No, it's the tiny caterpillar with the translator belt around its waist. It's literally what Mr. Mind is in the comics. They didn't sacrifice a freaking thing on that. And when he's making the speech about how he is going to just mess up Shazam in the next film, it was good. That gave me a tingle like, oh, I can't wait for this caterpillar to go up against the big red cheese. I can't wait for that. That's going to be awesome. Yeah, man, I cannot wait for the sequel to this thing. This thing, God damn, this thing was so incredibly fun. Any other spoilery things to go into? I feel like there's some stuff that I'm missing in here. I do really wish that we had gotten some more time with the seven deadly sins, but like gotten some more personality from them, more different powers.
Yeah, but I think we already discussed that.
We already discussed that. So. Yeah, there's no real spoilery stuff on that. I did really dig when you got to see Dr. Savannah and like how he had just dedicated his life to hunting down the other people who had been asked to join Shazam and then got turned away. And it was charming there at the end when Billy was just like, what's that? I can have anything I want. It's like, I'm not going to put this thing on. That was really cute. That was really fun. And as far as like the selection of Billy in this thing goes, I kind of had, like, a lot of this is based on the New 52 version. And I had problems, I've spoken about my problems with the New 52 version of Billy Batson, that I think they took this kid who, the whole point of him is that true good can only exist in the heart of a child. Like, that was the entire, like, point of Shazam. And I said, like, yeah, they just kind of made Billy a jerk in the New 52. And I've had people contact me and say, he wasn't really a jerk. He was more just a kid with problems. And I thought, okay, that's true. But then you watch this one, and I think, no, that's a good kid with some problems in there. And I can't really speak from, like, personal experience. And I know that other people out there are going to say differently on this.
Yeah, and it's like
but, like, in the New 52, like, literally one of the first things we see of him is him flat up lying to people so that he can, like, basically con them. And then, like, he turns to the lady who is running the foster program, and he just goes, screw you, old lady! Like, just being, like, just getting into a screaming match with this adult figure. And in this one, yeah, he tricks some police, but it's because he's trying to find his parents. Like,
yes.
Okay, you can buy that. And then after he gets there to the home, he's not mean to anybody. He's just kind of numb. You just kind of get, like, this is kind of like a kid who's got a lot of dark stuff going on in his life. And you understand that. And when he meets Shazam, and Shazam's like, I need, like, true good. And then he just goes, I don't think true good is a thing. Like, I love that because it shows that all the other kids in here, they were like, oh yeah, give me the powers. Billy's the one guy who's like, I don't think I'm worthy of this, which shows he's humble. And I enjoyed that. I thought that was really well handled in here.
And the wizard is like, my time is coming to an end. You're the only hope, so I'm going to give you these powers anyway, whether you like it or not.
I also do really like the fact that I was like, the wizard just kind of got lucky on this last one. The wizard just kind of got lucky coming in here. It's like, I don't have time to keep looking. You're the last shot I got, kid. So I enjoyed that as well. But I do wish that we'd gotten to see Billy being good a little bit more in that. Because the only really, good, example we see of Billy before this is we see him standing up for Freddy against the bullies. And that's kind of, an easy out. That's a little bit, that's something that we see a decent amount in these films.
It's I feel like the moral of this movie is, nobody is really born good, but you have to, learn to be good.
And I think it does that very well.
Yes.
But I'm thinking about, there was an animated Superman Shazam movie that came out. It wasn't even a movie, it was 40 minutes long.
A special?
They still charged you full price for that thing. But yeah, that came out, and I remember in that, the way that he showed that he was good was that even though Billy was homeless, he was... there was still a homeless guy who he went up to and gave money to whenever he had money to give it to him. And I know that feels kind of also a little bit of a really easy way of showing that someone's good. But the twist in that is it was revealed that the homeless person actually kind of worked for the Wizard Shazam and was actually the scout for him to find the good people out there.
Yeah.
I think that actually something like that.
Yeah.
I think would have been a really good way to help us connect Billy to Shazam and show why he was chosen to get these powers.
I just keep thinking that kind of reminds me of the the Venom movie where he gives 20 to some random homeless lady even though he's out of a job and everything. Wouldn't it be funny if that homeless lady was actually one of the scouts for the wizard? And
Eddie Brock. Take my powers, Eddie Brock. Oh, jeez, Mr. Wizard Shazam, I don't know about... I don't know, I'm trying to get back to...
Say my name! Venom!
Oh, dear Lord. Yeah, that's getting a sequel. Because y'all 90s kids just couldn't get over your big goo monster. Jesus Christ.
Hey, Peach. Peach got a haircut.
Yeah, she did. Look at that, everybody. Yay.
Yes, there's an actual dog underneath all that fluff.
Yes. So yeah, I actually really dug that was how he... I wish we had gotten a little bit more Billy being good, a little bit more a reason for why he was chosen for this, but I still did enjoy what we got in here. It does honestly bug me, though, that he never got a name in here. It does honestly bug me that we never...
Yeah, so it's what?
Especially because that's a running thing over here, or they just keep giving him one different name after another. Doesn't it feel like the perfect cap off to that would have been them actually giving him a name at the end of this? Doesn't
yeah,
that
it's so what are they gonna do for the sequel? And what about everybody else who has also Shazam's powers?
Yeah, there's many questions. Yeah, so it does bug me that they never gave him a name. That is another small nitpick that I have with this thing.
Maybe that would be the sequel name, Shazam, whatever.
Colon, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Captain Sparklefist.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything else that I want to say about this. I really had a great time with this film. It's been a long time since I counted down my top 10 favorite superhero movies, but it might be in there. It might be, around the number 10 spot in there. I really did enjoy this. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Next week is the Hellboy movie, which I keep hearing people saying that it looks bad. I've been doing this thing recently in which I have been actively trying to avoid all trailers for anything, just so I can go into movies completely fresh. So I haven't seen anything on this movie. All I have seen is the still of the guy from Stranger Things as Hellboy, and that does indeed look odd. But I have not seen anything on this, so I'm going into it completely fresh. And maybe if we have time next week, we'll also try and do Pet Sematary and Dumbo, because we've been sick and out of town the last 2 weeks, so we haven't had time to. But if you guys want us to do reviews on that, let us know.
Yeah.
Thank you guys very much for tuning in. Come back next time. Bye.
Bye.